Hello Aquarius, I am Poetic Heretic, and this is your May 2017 tarot forecast. Now I am doing something a little different this month. I'm just going to shuffle the cards right on camera and draw them right on camera and see how that goes, and if it goes well, then I will probably do it this way from now on. So let us begin. So first I just like to make sure the cards are nice and thoroughly mixed up by doing this before I actually shuffle them, like really shuffle them. And there we go. So, we would like a Celtic cross forecast for the sign of Aquarius for May 2017. Let's see what the cards have in store for Aquarius for the month of May 2017. What does the universe have for Aquarius for May 2017? Looks like we're closing in. Not quite yet, you guys. I always shuffle the cards until they're just right. You guys are calling forth some powerful energy. Alright, now the cards are locked and ready. Alright. Your outside influences. The Queen of Pentacles. The Challenge card. Ooh, the Ten of Cups. So far so good. The underlying energy. The Six of Wands. The past and issues you've had to deal with. The Four of Swords reversed. What you hope to achieve. The Seven of Swords reversed. Okay, yeah, this is turning out quite well so far. You're wanting things to be back to normal. There's progress being made. There's a sense of security going on. The challenge will be happiness and or completion, but like I said, so far so good. The near future. Ooh, the Ace of Swords. Alright, even better. Your attitude or position on the situation. The Five of Wands. This could be a bit of a snag. We shall see. The outside force coming in. The Lovers reversed. Hopes or fears. Death. The Death card. And the outcome. The Seven of Cups. Well, isn't this an interesting combination? So let us see. Well, one thing that jumps out right away is that we've got two sevens here. So those are going to talk about relationships. And let's see, tens, both tens and fours tend to talk about completion, but let's just go through one by one here. So the Queen of Pentacles is representing your current outside influences right at the beginning of the month. And what is she talking about? She's talking about the feelings of comfort and security and stability, financial security, order and structure, and a sense of motherliness and comfort and feeling at ease, in essence. Comfort, security, stability, things going fairly well, and also the idea, well, as I kind of already mentioned, financial security and stuff like that. And I believe this can also even indicate kind of like starting your own business or doing well in business, perhaps like good business investments, good investments in general, So that sort of thing. So some very positive and like comforting, earthy energy that you're starting out the month with here. So that's really good. For the challenge card, you have the Ten of Cups. So it could be a challenge for you this month to have happiness, togetherness, harmony, a sense of unity. It could be around like a close relationship and or family. And it could also be a challenge to complete something. Perhaps it's time for one part of your life to conclude and a new part of your life to begin. And even more indicative of that is the Ace of Swords coming up here, which may very well be talking about a new beginning. And you also have the Death card in your hopes or fears, which is talking about death and rebirth, so implying a new beginning as well. Now, this card crossing over the Queen of Pentacles, both of these cards tend to be very, very positive when upright. And if we just get more intuitive about it, it's like it's saying that this kind of harmony is already within your reach, more or less. That seems to be the case anyway. Maybe not the case for 100% of you, because we do have that Seven of Swords reverse coming up for what you hope to achieve, but quite possibly the case for a significant portion of you, that this harmony is already within reach, and there is like this sense of celebration of one era of your life or something like that, perhaps coming to conclusion, or just celebration and happiness and harmony in general. So it's almost like it's saying that even though this is the challenge card, for a lot of you it might not be hard to even meet that challenge. It might not be hard for you to experience the completion of something that you've had going on for a while in a celebratory way, and or the celebration itself. So just some things to consider there. For the underlying energy, you have the Six of Wands. And so this card is talking about everything forming the foundation of your current situation. And the Six of Wands, what is that talking about? Well, it's talking about making progress and moving forward and clarity. It's talking about day-to-day activities. It's talking about the will, because wands are fire, and that's going to talk about the will. It can talk about also kind of being in the public eye, being out in the open. And this is your underlying energy. So beneath this comfort and security is this idea of making progress, being bold, and perhaps, again, even being kind of seen in the public eye, perhaps. So that's something to consider as well. Now, for the past and issues you've had to deal with, you have the Four of Swords reversed. So the Four of Swords reversed is going to talk a lot about a difficulty in making any kind of real movement, for one thing. So it looks like you've overcome that most likely with the Six of Wands we just went over. But it can also talk about the avoidance of withdrawal, the avoidance of being alone. It can talk about subjectivity. In other words, not seeing reality clearly, not thinking objectively, not seeing objectively. It can talk about being unable to rest and or needing to rest, needing a break from things. And also So interesting because of the Queen of Pentacles over here, but a lack of order and structure, like having perhaps even no order or structure, that being the problem. Um, but look at how that contrasts with the Queen of Pentacles here, indicating that you've essentially restored that order, and also you're no longer in this stagnation. You are moving forward this month. So this is very good news indeed. And I wouldn't be saying that if that wasn't the truth, if it wasn't what the cards are actually saying here. So what else can we look at here? If there is any kind of a dark side to this for some of you, I'll just say this, just to try to keep it as balanced as possible. The Four of Swords reversed can sometimes talk about being really busy, and the Queen of Pentacles in a darker sense or more negative sense can talk about that as well, almost being a little too, almost like a workaholic type of energy. So for, I would say, a minority of you, because this is not what I'm predominantly seeing, but I'll still mention it just in case. For a minority of you, it might be saying that you're kind of being a workaholic, and the challenge is indeed to relax and enjoy yourself and enjoy life, and celebrate happiness. Celebrate the fruits of your labors. And that's, again, I really have to emphasize that celebratory conclusion type of energy with the Ten of Cups, because it's a 10, and it's really, really, really about the completion of something. The vast majority of the time, that's the core energy of the card, I would say, is about the completion of something in a celebratory, happy sense. So, yeah, a couple of possibilities there. Now, for what you hope to achieve, the Seven of Swords reversed. Well, this is interesting, because this is saying that, and maybe for some of you it is indeed a challenge to have this celebratory Ten of Cups energy, because this is saying that what you hope to achieve is things returning to normal, difficulties and differences overcome, wanting to be recognized for your genius and insight, like no longer wanting that to go unrecognized, and improved relationships as well. So now this is starting to unfold a little bit more, I think. And this would also be the idea of gain instead of loss, and no longer being obstructed or contradicted. So, improving times, improved relationships, things are back to normal, being recognized for your genius and insight, being able to move forward. You guys get the idea. So it's very interesting that you're focused on that sort of energy when we have down here the Six of Wands, which these two cards are going to reflect each other, by the way. And this is talking about moving forward. And we also have as the challenge, again, the Ten of Cups, talking about relationship harmony, among other things, and saying that that's kind of what you want to achieve. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not already experiencing some of that, I would say, especially in this spread from what I'm seeing, but it could be more like saying this is on your mind. The improvement of relationships is on your mind. It's your focus this month. But this could also talk about that in kind of a work-related sense as well. And it could even be saying like what you're focusing on is the idea of enhanced efficiency and your work proceeding smoothly. So those are the things to consider with that. For the near future, you have the Ace of Swords. Now, this is very good the vast majority of the time. The Ace of Swords talking about a new beginning a lot of times. A new beginning in the realm of the intellect, because swords are air and that's the intellect. Talking about seeing clearly, seeing objectively, cutting through to the truth, seeing things as they are, a fair, objective mindset, and a sense of success and power and mastery, knowing what you're doing. So it looks like we might have the conclusion of one era and the beginning of a new one here. And the Ace of Swords, it can also be like a sign of victory. So victory over one era and quite possibly the beginning of a new era. So that's very exciting. Now, for your attitude or position on the situation about halfway through the month, this is where it takes a bit of a turn, because we have the Five of Wands, and this card tends to talk about conflict and fighting and tension, but especially like arguments. So you may be feeling argumentative. Now remember, this is talking about how you're feeling about the situation, not necessarily what's actually happening. You may be feeling argumentative. You may be feeling like you're having conflict with other people in trying to create what you want to create or do what you want to do. This might also be saying that you feel like you want to make things happen at any cost, like not really caring about the consequence, like disregard for consequence and forcing things through. And of course that, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing, depending on the situation. So just be careful about that. For the outside force coming in, you have the Lovers reversed. So this is something coming at you. This could be a number of things. When we have the Lovers reversed, we're looking at unclear thinking and communication, indecision, irrational choices, resistance. We could be looking at discretion and secretiveness and clandestine activity, things going on behind your back, someone keeping things back. We could be looking at failed agreements, failed contracts, failed collaboration, even the termination of a friendship. We could be looking at arguments with siblings or relatives. Notice it being a 6 reverse, that's Virgoan energy. That's, talk about like everyday people, everyday contacts. We also have a 6 over here, so we've got the double 6s, the Virgoan energy, the day-to-day activities. And here it's in a positive sense, but here it's like blocked. So something is coming at you that is kind of like an interruption in that sense. This can also talk about just incompatible people in general. Dishonesty, delays, bad news, upset routines, fatigue. So all these sorts of things that kind of interrupt your day-to-day activities or disturb the order of things, and possibly someone trying to argue with you or something like that, as we saw here with the Five of Wands, the possible arguments, and even with the Seven of Swords reversed, like wanting things to be back to normal with a relationship possibly, or relationships. There might be some of that energy going on, I've got to be honest. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that bad. We have the Seven of Cups as the outcome, which that's an interesting card because that could go two very different ways. So I'll get into that here in a little bit. But the Lovers reversed really could be talking about just simple delays if it's not going to be the arguments and the disagreements and the termination of a friendship or something like that. If it's not going to be that bad, then it could just simply be talking about delays or frustrations that could be occurring most likely later in the month. But interestingly enough, though, remember, you are making progress regardless with the Six of Wands here. In fact, even the Five of Wands, even though it can talk about, feeling conflict and argumentative for your attitude or position in the situation, it can also talk about making progress despite the conflict and infighting. So, it's like whatever the Lovers reversed here manifests as, chances are it's not going to stop you from continuing to make progress. And especially when you have the Ace of Swords here, like the Lovers reversed could talk about something that tries to prevent you from seeing clearly, but you've got the Ace of Swords showing up here, so chances are you should be able to see through it. Now, you might not, because we have the Seven of Cups as the outcome card here. This could go two very different ways. That's what's so interesting about this spread. Overall, this is a really great spread and indicates a lot of positive energy, so I should emphasize that. But there is some interesting negative energy or challenging energy as well, you could say here. But yes, remember with the Lovers card, this card is really not talking about the vast majority of the time literal lovers, and that's a position I am very firm on, and I know others will disagree with me, but that is my position on this card. It doesn't match the astrological correspondence or the numerological correspondence. If you really look deep into the symbolism of the Lovers card, it's talking about something much more spiritual, than just like a physical relationship. It can talk about that, but it's usually talking about something much more spiritual, and you also cannot ignore the Virgoan energy or the Gemini energy, since this card is ruled by Gemini, and that's going to talk about communication and things like that, and that's why when it's reversed it could be unclear communication, and on the Virgo aspect of things, upsets in your schedules or routines or things like that. But anyway, you guys get the idea. I probably should not go on a rant here when I'm just supposed to be reading the cards. So anyway, for your hopes or fears, you have the Death card. So what is Death talking about? Well, this card, in my opinion, is actually positive far more often than not, and it's talking about death and rebirth, regeneration, life and death, you could say. It's talking about deconstruction and reconstruction. It's talking about the hidden, unseen realms. It's talking about catharsis and emotional purification. It's talking about the face behind the persona, the hidden self, the real self. So, all of these sorts of things you're hoping for, but you might also be afraid of to some extent. But look at this here, this idea of death and rebirth, and what I kind of alluded to earlier. We have the idea of a conclusion and a new beginning happening this month for you. So you're hoping for that, it does look like, but this could take on a very deep and powerful meaning for you this month, is what the Death card tells me. Something that is like an emotional purification. This could even be like deep emotional healing and lasting emotional change. Now, in a negative sense, and this might be perhaps part of some fears you may have, well, this card talks about kind of the inability to see the light side, pessimism, depression, the inability to have fun, the inability to enjoy life. And so there may be part of you that is afraid that maybe you won't be able to enjoy life, as we saw here with the Ten of Cups, saying that, hey, that's something you should try to do this month. That could be a challenge for you, but this card is also known as what may help or hinder you, so it may indeed be quite helpful for you to try to make that time to enjoy life this month. And it's like with death here, it's kind of saying that a lot of you might be afraid that you won't be able to do that, maybe because you've been too busy and you still feel too busy to some extent. Again, the Queen of Pentacles in a negative sense can sometimes talk about like working too much, like I said earlier, a workaholic. So those are some possibilities as well. But really the Death card it's such a powerful card. It's probably one of my favorites because it's talking about that journey into the underworld where you become transformed, where you go through some powerful emotional, spiritual transformation. And so just the fact that it showed up is, I would say, indeed a good sign. Now, that doesn't always mean that you're not going to face challenges. In fact, the Death card often comes with challenges, but I always see it pretty much as a positive thing, at least 99% of the time anyway, because even if there are challenges associated with it, it's like saying, hey, these are challenges that you need to go through, that you will be better off for having gone through, and that you will experience a lot of growth from, a lot of personal growth from these experiences. So that is my interpretation of that. And when we kind of look at it with these other cards here, the Six of Wands, again, talking about making progress. Well, you might be hoping to make progress in a much more spiritual sense, in the inner realms, like the deep realms deep within yourself as well, I would just add. So now for the outcome card. Well, this is interesting. The Seven of Cups. Like I said earlier, this could go two very different ways. One that is quite positive and the other that is quite negative. So first, the positive. This card could talk about the idea of uniqueness and creativity, eccentricity, kind of being yourself, dreams and imagination. Imagination is huge with this card. So it's interesting how it contrasts the more intellectual and left-brained and objective Ace of Swords energy we have earlier here. But a lot of you could be ending the month on a very creative and dreamy and imaginative note, where quite possibly you're using your imagination to your advantage. And it's like saying that whatever this was with the Lovers reversed did not throw you off much, if even at all. And instead now it's like you are finding creative ways to overcome any challenges that the Lovers reversed might have talked about. You're finding creative solutions to it. You're using your imagination. And that's very positive indeed. And a great way to end the month as well. And with it being a 7, and we had the Seven of Swords reversed here earlier, it would also, I think anyway, be a sign that the harmony that you're reaching for in relationships and difficulties overcome, things being back to normal and all that, that in this scenario you do in fact get. Now, let's look at the second outcome when we interpret this card negatively. When we interpret it negatively, it's going to talk about a sense of otherworldliness and illusion, confusion, feeling overwhelmed, having too many choices, feeling like you're not getting recognition for the hard work that you've done or for your creativity. Now, in a really dark sense, this could even talk about vampirism, about being energetically drained by other people, by one or more other people. And so I have to strongly advise you, Aquarius, that if you find any time this month, but especially around the end of this month, that you feel like you have been drained energetically by anyone that you're around, especially anyone that you're in a relationship with, and 7 relationships. If you feel that way, like you're being drained by that person, take take note and try to, in essence, avoid that person as much as possible, and like sever that kind of psychic cording that is going on, because psychic vampirism is, as far as I can see, a very real thing and something that you want to watch out for, especially when we might see a possible indication of that showing up in the tarot reading here. Like, heed the advice of the cards well. Now, fortunately, I'm not seeing any other significant indicators of that. Again, with the Lovers reversed, a lot of times that's just talking about scheduling issues and stuff, though it can, of course, talk about the arguments and whatnot. So I wouldn't say it's highly likely, but just something else to watch out for. And also, again, it can talk about confusion and illusion, not seeing clearly, feeling somewhat overwhelmed. So, around the end of the month, try to, if you're feeling that way, try to focus on the positive side of this card if you can, recreate it for yourself. Focus on being more creative and use your imagination and your uniqueness and your individuality. Bring those things out within yourself, use them to your advantage, and make that your reality, because it's not like all of this is set in stone, indeed not. These are all just probabilities. So work with the energy as best you can. And, well, I also have to kind of say, again, with the Ace of Swords, there's a good chance we have a significant energy of objectiveness here. And so, hopefully, that will last till the end of the month, and you won't be feeling confused or not seeing clearly, or in excessive subjectivity, which this can also talk about. Hopefully you remain clear, and this is just a sign of creativity, using your imagination, writing poetry or being artistic, all that kind of stuff. So that about covers it. So there you go, Aquarius. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great month indeed, and I hope you like the new format here. This has been a tarot forecast for the sign of Aquarius for the month of May 2017 from Poetic Heretic. Don't forget to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.